Hi, welcome to or back to my channel. Today we are going to do my first ever reading vlog, which is so exciting. This should be like my fourth video up and I'm so excited, sorry, because I just think it'll be a lot of fun and hopefully I'll stay motivated. So this is the first of at least a two-part series because I have a lot of suggestions of books that my friends tell me to read. I gave them a list of books that I own that I had not read and I was like, choose some. My first book was suggested to me by one of my online friends. She's so sweet. I've known her for like probably 5 years and she was like, you know what, you should do a Giver reread. And I started the Giver series a year ago. I did not finish it, which is quite embarrassing, but I only have one book left. I read Messenger last night in one sitting, so I'm going to read Sun next. And that is the first book I'm reading for this vlog. I'm so excited. I don't know if you've ever seen these editions, but look at how easy it is to read. I will update you in a bit after I read. Okay, so a day has passed since I last updated you, but I just started Sun and I can already tell it's gonna be super hard-hitting. I am on page 18 right now. I know barely anything, but I already have some thoughts. Basically, she's like a young teenage girl who is assigned as birth mother and gives birth to a child very early on. She's 14 years old. And I just find that, like, first off, super disturbing. But what I find fascinating about the whole Giver quartet is that there's so much world building, but it's so subtle. Like, it's done unlike any other dystopian series I've ever read. Because obviously there's like this whole system and there's all these names. Like in the last book, there's like a seer and a messenger, a healer, and like we don't actually know that much about it. It's just like we see what we can find out. It's just so weird, but I can tell I'm really going to, I guess, enjoy this. Like, I think it'll be very hard-hitting and a very good conclusion so far. Okay, so I have 2 new updates. So far, I am still reading Sun. Is divided into 3 books, and I read 2 out of 3 of them now, and I think is really good, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I really like how subtle all the dystopianness is within it, because it's creepier somehow. But my second update is that I've started another book, and this one was recommended by 2 of my friends. I gave them the list of books that I own, and there was like literally 600 to choose from. They both chose the same one, and that is Death on the Nile by Agatha Christie. I got this as an audiobook, and I'm about 19% in, and I don't really know how much I really like it, because I think so far it's just been like lead up work to what's gonna happen next, and I'm not really like super invested yet, but I'm really hoping that this exceeds my expectations, because I'd love to love Agatha Christie, but I'm just not sure. Okay, so today I've now finished Sun. This is the first book I have finished out of this readathon, and it took me like about a week, honestly, because I started right when I got home and I was busy unpacking. But I give this 4 out of 5 stars. I grew up reading like Divergent and Hunger Games, and you know that's dystopian when you read it. Like, it's so intense. But this one isn't. And I especially liked this book because it really focuses on like the maternal aspect of loving someone, and I never really read a book like that. And I also, especially not like a kid's book or a middle grade book. I just find that super, super important to read about, and I think I would have really enjoyed that as a child just because it's so good to read about that and hear all about it. Also, when I was reading it, I noticed like the author didn't really use usual conventions of people just being attached to the characters. Like, there was nothing intense that made me be like, oh yeah, I love this character, but somehow I still remained so like entranced in the whole plot. And I just think that's really impressive for the author to do and really, really cool. Like, I highly recommend that series if you haven't already picked it up, just because even though if you're not a kid anymore, like, it is still so good. Like, I'm 19, I enjoyed it, and that's fantastic. So one of the best parts about finishing this is I finished a series on my list of series I'm working on, so I gotta check it off. And that's so satisfying. Now I'm down to 29. So now I'm physically moving on to reading something else in this readathon, and this one was chosen by my roommate. She technically gave me 2 options, and I technically chose between the 2 and picked the other one, which was Wicked Saints. But I know she wanted me to read this one, so I want to too. And that is Fourth Wing. This is the holiday edition. It has the black sprayed edges. I bought it around Christmas time this last year, and I've had it, and it's been on my TBR. I honestly do think I'll enjoy it. She thinks it'll go either way, and that's why she wants me to read it, because she's like, you might like it, you might hate it. But the synopsis sounds a lot like A Deadly Education, which I really enjoyed. I read the whole trilogy, and I thought that was super good. So I will get started on that. Just another update, I finished Death on the Nile. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I was a little bit nervous because Agatha Christie is an older author, and I wasn't sure if I'd really be able to follow along easily, but I did for the most part. I listened to it as an audiobook, and today I listened to about 5 hours of it while at work, because for my job I'm just driving around right now, so I can listen to stuff while doing that, and that's great. So I listened to this. I did not see the end twist coming. Like, I am amazed at how well plotted all these stories are. Most of the time I guess what's gonna happen, so when I don't guess, that's fantastic. So I really enjoyed this, and I'm glad I finally did read it, because I wouldn't have read it without my friends being like, you should read this. So I gave it 3.5 stars, rounded up to 4. Then I also have been reading Fourth Wing, and I honestly have really been enjoying it. I'm about halfway through. Let me check how many pages I'm at. Okay, I'm at 285 out of around 500. I'm really enjoying it. I was a little bit nervous about that one too, because I was worried that I'd think it'd be overhyped, but I'm really enjoying it. Like, all day while I was at work, I was like, I can't wait to get back and read Fourth Wing. So I actually ended early and went home. So I'm gonna read that now, and I'm quite excited. I haven't decided what book I'm gonna listen to next, because I want to do one more for this reading vlog, but I have some choices, but I don't want to spoil them. Okay, so one more reading update. I loved Fourth Wing. I gave it 5 stars. I finished it in like 3 days, which is really good for this size of a book, just because like the pages are so long, and I really enjoyed it. I'm excited for Iron Flame too, but a bit nervous. So I want to start that right away, but I'm gonna finish this reading video first. So the next book I'm reading is Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl, which is recommended to me by one of my high school friends. And I've also been listening to a lot of audiobooks at my job, so it's also exciting outside of this reading vlog, but very fun. So I have an update on Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. I'm a bit over halfway done, and I have very mixed feelings so far. Like, I don't know if this sounds bad, but clearly this was written by a man, and like, you get very teenage boy narration throughout it, if that makes sense, which, as someone who's still a teenage girl, that's a little bit weird for me, at least. But I think it's good in the sense that I am reading it. Like, I've read about 170 pages just today, so that's pretty good. I also, when I was looking it up, the author, Jesse Andrews, also wrote the movie Luca. Like, he helped with it. And I love that movie. That's one of my top favorite movies. When I say this is so far from the vibe of Luca, I truly mean it. But I do like how screenplays are like interspliced within the narration. I think that's very cool, and I think the concept is decent. I don't really know if I like any of the characters, and I don't really like the form of narration. I think it'd be good for a high school guy to read, maybe, because I think they'd relate to him, but I don't relate to Greg, the main character. So it's probably been a week since I last updated and I finished the final book, and I have very mixed thoughts on this one. There's some parts where the characters go on gross out mode, where they just make vastly inappropriate jokes, and not that, like, I wasn't really offended with any of it. It was just kind of like, okay, I'm not the right audience for this. So it kind of read like the author was trying to do a stand-up routine, the crowd was just kind of silent. But on the other hand, I really like the creativity of this book, because it has screenplays inside of it, and so it makes it very readable, and it's also pretty short since it's just under 300 pages. So I think if it sounds interesting to you, you might like it, but I wouldn't recommend it per se. It portrays grief and like dealing with death very realistically, in the sense that sometimes you just don't know what to do, and that's fine also, because sometimes you feel like you need to, I don't know, do these big things and grieve a lot more, but I don't know, a lot of times you're just kind of like there and you don't know what to do with yourself. And I liked how that was portrayed within this, because it's not really like a Fault in Our Stars-esque book in the same sense. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. I don't really know if it's worth 3 stars, but just because, I'll give it a higher rating. With that last book, that concludes our reading vlog. If you enjoyed it, please follow along. I have another part of this that I'm going to film later and read another 4 books that my friends picked out for me, because I asked a lot of friends and I have 4 more that I need to read. So if you enjoyed, please like, subscribe. I will hopefully see you next time, and you can watch me get through my giant TBR of books. So I'll see you then.